Ever picture what's going on in a soldier's head during combat?
Oh, absolutely.
It's more than just reflexes.
Right.
It's this crazy mix of emotions, instinct, and making huge decisions, all on the fly.
Yeah.
We're taking a deep dive into an article from Military Review
Right.
called Neuroscience and Combat Leadership to break it all down.
I think this is a really fascinating topic.
I agree.
It really makes you think about
Yeah.
the mental overload that modern warfare creates, especially for those in charge.
Especially for leaders.
Yes.
It's a far cry from that just basic fight or flight
Right.
that our ancestors dealt with.
Exactly.
Major Andrew Stedman, the author, he digs into this,
Okay.
using cutting-edge neuroscience to show what happens to the brain in
Right.
these extreme situations. So it's not just about tactics,
Right.
but understanding the science of how leaders make decisions when the pressure is on.
The article brings up a vital question.
Yeah.
How do we balance our gut reactions with the need to think clearly and strategically in a life or death situation?
Right, because you would think
Yeah.
your gut is telling you one thing,
Right.
but you have to make this big decision that could affect everybody.
And Stedman points out
Yeah.
that our brain biology can actually work against us in these moments.
It's working against us.
Yeah.
That's where it gets really interesting. So Stedman breaks down how our brains react to stress, focusing on two key parts: the limbic system, our fight or flight center,
Okay.
and the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rational thought and decision making. And get this,
Yeah.
in high-stress situations, the limbic system basically hijacks the prefrontal cortex.
Mhm.
It's like one's fighting the other.
It's almost as if our brains haven't fully caught up with the demands
Yeah.
of modern warfare.
Right.
Stedman compares it to the limbic system stealing fuel from the prefrontal cortex.
Wow.
It's like trying to solve a complex puzzle while you're running from a bear. Your brain is going to focus on survival,
Right.
not deep thinking.
Your survival instincts take over.
Exactly.
That makes total sense. But how does that actually play out for
Right.
soldiers in today's combat?
Mm.
I mean, could those split-second decisions be impacted by this hijacking?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's say a soldier is pinned down under enemy fire.
Okay.
Their limbic system is screaming, danger,
Right.
flooding them with adrenaline
Okay.
and urging them to take immediate action.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Mm-hmm.
the situation demands a more strategic response. They need to assess the situation, coordinate with their team, and choose the best course of action,
All while under pressure.
all while under immense pressure.
Yeah.
That's when the prefrontal cortex needs to step in, but it's been hampered.
It can't do its job.
Exactly. And this could lead to impulsive decisions,
Uh-huh.
tunnel vision,
Wow.
or even freezing up,
Yeah.
potentially putting themselves and others at risk.
So the article highlights how different modern combat is from historical warfare. Like back then, reflex was often enough,
Right.
you know?
Stedman draws a sharp contrast there. He quotes
Yeah.
a World War II observation
Mm-hmm.
that many soldiers were puzzled what to do
Oh, wow.
and unnerved
Interesting.
because their leaders didn't provide clear direction.
Mm-hmm.
They were essentially paralyzed by fear.
Wow.
Today's soldiers face an overwhelming amount of information,
Right.
advanced technology, and the weight of decisions that
Right.
could have global consequences.
It's a lot more than just basic survival.
Absolutely.
It makes you wonder how leaders manage that intense stress response to make those crucial decisions. Does Stedman offer any insights into dealing with that kind of pressure?
He does. One technique he highlights is tactical breathing,
Okay.
something used by both the military and law enforcement.
It sounds so simple, though.
Right.
Is that really enough to help in these high stakes situations? Like, what's the thinking behind that?
It's about consciously controlling
Okay.
your body's reaction to stress. Taking those slow, deep breaths
Uh-huh.
sends a signal to your nervous system
Hmm.
to calm down.
Okay.
It might seem basic,
Right.
but it's incredibly effective in interrupting
Mm.
that automatic stress response
Yeah.
and letting your prefrontal cortex regain control.
I can see how that would be useful,
Yeah,
even outside of combat.
absolutely.
Think about a time you felt completely overwhelmed or anxious.
Right.
Could a few intentional breaths
Yeah,
help you get back on track?
definitely.
Yeah.
It's all about giving your rational mind a chance to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Stedman also talks about
Yeah.
labeling and reappraisal,
Okay.
which is essentially acknowledging your emotions out loud.
So rather than bottling things up,
Exactly.
you actually name it.
Yeah.
I'm feeling stressed right now,
Yeah.
or I'm noticing fear. But how does saying it out loud actually change things?
Think of it like this.
Okay.
When you label your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
you create a separation
Okay.
between your rational mind
Yeah.
and the feeling itself.
Okay.
This distance
Hmm.
helps you shift to a more helpful mindset.
Uh-huh.
Stedman even mentions cue words
Okay.
like steady
Okay.
or stay focused
Right.
to help recenter yourself.
Gotcha.
It's almost like using language as
Okay.
a tool
Uh-huh.
to regain control.
So we're essentially hacking
Yes.
our own stress response.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
It is, isn't it?
Stedman also emphasizes the importance of a leader's emotions impacting their unit. A
Yes.
calm leader, things are calm.
Right.
A stressed leader, the stress spreads.
Exactly.
It's like,
It's the concept of emotional contagion.
okay.
The idea that emotions are contagious.
Oh, interesting.
You think about General Patton's quote,
Yeah.
leaders are always on parade. It highlights how troops constantly look to their leader for cues.
Oh, wow.
You know?
So even if you're feeling the pressure, projecting that sense of calm makes a huge difference in how your team responds.
Absolutely.
But is it really possible to control our emotions like that?
Wow.
Especially when things are getting intense?
It's not easy.
Right.
But research suggests we have more control than we think.
Oh, interesting.
In his book, Blink,
Okay.
Malcolm Gladwell
Yeah.
describes an experiment where simply forcing a smile
Okay.
actually made people find things funnier.
Wait, you're kidding?
Yeah.
Just the act of smiling changed how they felt.
It turns out
Wow.
that our facial expressions
Okay.
can actually influence our emotions.
Huh.
It's a two-way street.
So even if you don't feel calm inside, projecting a composed demeanor can actually help shift your emotional state. So it's not about ignoring our emotions.
Right.
It's about actively working with them.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
It does.
Stedman also mentions creating a thinking space
Yeah.
in the middle of chaos.
Uh-huh.
What does he mean by that?
Right.
And how can you even do that when you're literally in a combat zone?
He's highlighting the need for leaders
Okay.
to disengage both physically and mentally
Okay.
from the immediate firefight
Right.
in order to make those crucial high-level decisions.
So you're saying that if you're constantly reacting
Right.
to every immediate threat, you'll never have the mental space for strategy.
Imagine you're looking at a map.
Okay.
You need to zoom out from the small details to see the bigger picture.
Right, to see the whole thing.
Exactly.
It makes sense.
Picture a company commander during a chaotic attack.
Okay.
He's getting reports from multiple units.
Mm-hmm.
Enemy positions are changing rapidly.
Right.
And the situation is evolving by the second.
So much is going on.
To make effective decisions,
Yeah.
he needs to move to a slightly safer location,
Okay.
even if it's just a few meters away.
Just to get a little.
This allows him to gather his thoughts,
Okay.
consult his maps,
Yeah.
and formulate a plan
All right.
without being completely consumed by the immediate danger.
It's like finding a quiet corner in a bustling coffee shop
Exactly.
to focus on your work.
Yes.
You need that separation to process information and come up with new ideas.
Precisely.
Stedman mentions that even something like trying to recall a past battle experience while under fire becomes extremely difficult.
Our working memory,
Okay.
the short-term memory we use to hold information while thinking,
Yeah.
has limits.
Okay.
A calm environment allows your brain to process information more effectively.
Like if you've got 20 tabs open on your computer,
Right.
everything just starts to slow down.
Exactly.
But if you can create that mental space,
Yeah.
you can start to connect the dots.
See patterns
Right.
and make more strategic decisions.
Absolutely.
But how do you train for that kind of pressure? Stedman talks about how soldiers, particularly leaders,
Right.
can train their brains to function better under duress.
Yeah.
He mentions cognitive stress shoots.
Okay.
What are those exactly?
Yeah.
And how do they work? They're essentially training exercises
Okay.
designed to push soldiers to their cognitive limits while experiencing physical or emotional stress.
Okay.
It's not just about physical drills,
Mm-hmm.
but about practicing how to think clearly when the pressure's on.
So you're saying it's more about mental conditioning
Yes.
than just physical ability?
Absolutely.
But how do they create that
Yeah.
kind of pressure in a training environment?
Stedman argues for a new level of realism.
Okay.
He suggests incorporating elements of surprise,
Uh-huh.
uncertainty,
Okay.
and even fear-inducing stimuli into these training exercises.
So, like,
Imagine you're a soldier navigating a hostile urban environment.
okay.
In a simulator,
Okay.
suddenly,
Uh-huh.
simulated explosions and gunfire erupt around you,
Oh, wow.
and you're bombarded with conflicting radio reports.
Right.
You're forced to make quick decisions with limited information.
Just like in real combat.
Exactly.
That sounds so intense.
It is.
But I can see how exposing them to these controlled levels of stress
Right?
in a safe environment
Uh-huh.
would help build resilience
Yes.
and prepare them for real-life combat scenarios.
Precisely.
Yeah,
It's about giving them the tools to manage that fear
right.
and make those rational decisions.
When things get chaotic,
Yes.
Stedman even mentions using things like simunitions rounds, which are basically paintballs that cause a small amount of pain,
Right?
to simulate the physical sensations of being in combat,
It's about bridging the gap between theory and reality.
making sure they can apply
Yes.
what they've learned when it matters most.
Absolutely.
He also stresses the importance of incorporating real-world complexity
Yes.
into these training simulations.
Instead of facing a predictable enemy,
Mm-hmm.
soldiers should be presented with scenarios where the enemy uses unexpected tactics
Okay.
or where the situation is constantly changing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's not just about memorizing procedures,
Right.
but about adaptability and critical thinking.
Exactly.
This training sounds like it could be beneficial for anyone in a high-pressure job, not just soldiers.
By incorporating elements of stress and uncertainty
Yeah.
into training simulations, we can help people in various professions
Uh-huh.
develop that mental resilience they need to thrive under pressure.
Right.
Whether you're an athlete, a surgeon, or a CEO,
It's across the board.
the ability to think clearly and make effective decisions when the stakes are high
Yeah.
is crucial.
Stedman also talks about leaders needing to develop
Yes.
a database of professional knowledge.
He emphasizes the need for leaders to constantly expand
Okay.
their knowledge base,
So it's not just...
both through formal education
Right.
and practical experience.
So it goes deeper than that.
Yes.
It's not just about knowing.
The more information a leader has,
Yeah.
the better equipped they'll be
Okay.
to make sound judgments in complex and unpredictable situations.
So it's not just about tactics, but having a deep understanding of history,
Yes.
strategy, human psychology,
Right.
and even cultural awareness.
It sounds like a lot to process,
It does,
especially in a high-pressure situation.
right?
It is, but Stedman draws a parallel
Yeah.
to how our brains form new ideas.
Okay.
He argues that the more information we have stored in our long-term memory,
Mm-hmm.
the more material our brains have to work with when trying to solve problems or make decisions.
So it's about building that mental library over time.
Exactly.
So you're better equipped to handle whatever comes your way.
Yeah.
But how do you access all that knowledge when you need it most?
Right?
Especially when you're under stress.
That's where practice comes in. Stedman recommends regularly engaging in what he calls thought exercises,
Okay.
such as wargaming scenarios,
Mm-hmm.
analyzing historical battles,
Hmm.
or even engaging in thoughtful discussions with colleagues.
Right.
This strengthens the neural pathways
Okay.
that allow us to access and apply our knowledge more effectively under pressure.
So it's like a mental workout
Yes,
that helps you stay sharp and adaptable.
exactly.
It sounds like Stedman is advocating for this well-rounded approach to leadership.
Absolutely.
It's not just about physical strength or
Right.
tactical skills, but about building mental resilience,
Uh-huh.
cultivating a deep understanding of your field,
Yes.
and fostering a supportive environment for your team.
He argues that leadership,
Yeah,
especially in high-pressure environments,
right.
is a cognitive skill.
And that by understanding how our brains work under stress, we can develop more effective training programs
Right.
and ultimately make better decisions when it really matters.
Absolutely.
Stedman concludes his article with a really powerful quote
Okay.
from SLA Marshall, who says, "The test of fitness to command is the ability to think clearly in the face of unexpected contingency or opportunity."
What a great quote.
It really highlights the importance of mental agility
Yes.
and adaptability
Ah.
in effective leadership,
Especially in today's world,
especially in today's world.
where things change so rapidly.
Yeah,
Knowing how to think clearly under pressure is an invaluable asset,
right.
not just for soldiers.
For leaders in any field.
For leaders in any field.
It's about being in control of your mind.
Yes.
Not letting your emotions dictate your actions.
Precisely.
And that's a skill.
It is.
That requires constant practice and a willingness to continually learn and grow.
Absolutely.
We've covered a lot of ground today. From the biological underpinnings of stress to the practical applications of neuroscience for leadership development. What's the key takeaway for our listener today?
I'd say the biggest takeaway is this.
Okay.
Mental fitness, just like physical fitness, is something you can build and strengthen.
Okay.
Through practice and dedication.
Through practice.
By understanding how our brains work under pressure,
Right.
we can make conscious choices about how we train and how we respond to challenges.
That's about embracing the power of the mind.
Absolutely.
To overcome obstacles and achieve extraordinary things.
I love that.
This has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
Into the world of neuroscience and combat leadership.
Yes.
We hope you found it insightful.
And remember, this is just the beginning.
Right.
Keep exploring.
Yeah.
Keep learning. And keep pushing the boundaries of what you think is possible.
Thanks for joining us.